Master Featherston, trustees, faculty and staff, families and friends, and the graduating class of 2012. It is really great to be back at Elmwood Franklin School. I'm honored and humbled to meet you and be a part of this very important day. I want to thank you for inviting me to speak today, because if you hadn't, I would never have the pleasure of reading Linda Park's book, A Long Walk to Water with You. For those of you who don't know, the 8th grade class read this very inspirational book about a girl named Naya and a boy named Salva, both enduring incredible hardship in South Sudan. Naya fetching water from a pond hours from her home, and Salva searching for his family after being separated by war. The 8th grade class then started the H2O Challenge, helping to raise money to build wells in communities throughout South Sudan so children like Naya can have better access to drinking water. My mom, my friends, my 11-year-old daughter, and a 5th grade class all read the book as well, thanks to you. Naya and Salva have become quick friends of ours. My family participated in the H2O Challenge as well for 2 weeks. Your efforts have spread ripples wide and far, and I want to thank you. When I was asked to speak here today, I thought, wow, I can't even get my own children to sit down and listen to me for 15 minutes. So I decided that I would deliver to you what I would want my own children to take away from my life. I will talk to you about service and the lessons that our family has been taught. It is very fitting to be back here at Elmwood Franklin, because much of this awareness of others came from this very same place. So you've already had a taste of service. It's in your blood. It is strong and powerful. It is wise and just. The experience of the Project H2O will help guide you as you set forth. I want to tell you how I came to understand this myself. It was not long ago that at 14, our lives looked very similar. I came to school, I walked these halls, I sat in these same chairs at assembly, I won blue and red ribbons in the long jump at field day, I was a member of the grade team, and I experienced this community of caring on such a deep level. I went on to high school, college, and then moved to Boston, and started living a similar, comfortable life to what I'd always known, which is 500 miles away. I felt blessed with this life because it had served me well so far. But my heart ached for something more. I wasn't sure what, and then I had this aha moment. I need to be connected to a larger slice of this planet, something bigger than myself, to learn more about myself through connecting with others, unlike, or ironically, very much like me. I remembered when I was young asking my dad to take me to Record Theater. It was just blocks from my house, but seemed miles apart from the world I knew. My dad loved jazz, and I loved anything with a beat. We would go every Sunday to this incredibly lively neighborhood with car radios thumping and porches filled with families. It had a pulse. But what my dad didn't realize, and maybe I didn't either, was that those hours spent walking up and down the aisles at Record Theater were more than just picking up the latest record, as they were then called. It was a cultural immersion that changed my life forever. What became apparent was that the energy that I was feeling from this wonderful community, so vastly different from my own, felt very familiar. The conversations between the kids searching for music next to me were similar to the ones that I was having with my own friends. Hey, what do you have for homework tonight? What are you wearing to the dance? Did you hear about the new E.T. movie? It made so much sense to me, this human connection. As my life unfolded and I became a mother of 4 children, I decided that now was the time to figure out how to find a way to be of service to others. I called the local food pantries and service organizations, but what I discovered really surprised me. Your kids need to be 16. You need to be trained at the hospital for at least 1 year. Or sorry, there's just such a long wait list. I thought to myself, this is crazy. Maybe the people on the other end of the phone don't really know the true power of children. That if we wait to be connected, there may not be a connection at all. We decided to take matters into our own hands, and when the kids came home from school, our journey began. We slapped peanut butter on one side of the bread and jelly on the other. We drew colorful messages on brown paper bags, threw in some apples, jumped in the car, and drove to downtown Boston. We opened up our bags and our hearts to the homeless people on the benches who were just too scared to go to shelters. We all shared our stories. We met Jay, who just graduated from MIT University. He wasn't able to find a job and couldn't afford his college loans. We met Cleveland, who had watched his father get lynched in the South when he was 7. We met John, who had lost both parents in Hurricane Katrina when he was just your age. and was walking from Boston to Mississippi to make his way back home after a long battle with drugs. And we met Min, who couldn't go to a shelter because her cat wasn't allowed, and she couldn't bear to leave him. I was suddenly struck so deeply as I realized that these were the same people that I'd passed day after day, never looking them in the eye, for I was in a hurry, or maybe ashamed that I was too scared to see into their souls. This really simple exchange soon became known as Sandwiches for the Soul, and 15 years later we still make our way downtown and have made many friends along the way. We have watched and helped them get jobs, just the simple understanding that many were unable because they didn't have addresses. So we said, use ours, or personally gave them character references. So simple and easy to do for us, now a chance for them. For it truly is not the haves or the have-nots in the world, it is what we have together. I'd like to tell you a story about a young man named Sahil. And to this day, we still don't know how he ended up in the streets. We've never asked, because it didn't really matter. I had an extra seat at a dinner for a charity event. Tickets were very expensive, and we had a cancellation at our table, only 5 hours before the event started. It was too late to call my friends. I thought, I'm going to invite Sahil, this young man, a very talented poet, homeless, brilliant, but separated from his family. He stood out to me because he was always looking out for his homeless friends. When material possessions arrived, he would say, hey Richie, you're bald, you take the hat. Or Artie, you're always cold, you take the blanket. Sahil answered the phone and replied a quick, really? Sure. But then called back moments later and said, I can't go, I don't have anything to wear. My white shirt has a hole in it, and my blazer is shiny and wrinkled. I told him, give me your measurements, in 1 hour. I went to work with my friends and pulled together a killer outfit and more. I threw in some of my husband's ties and headed to the shelter. I ran in with the clothes and he looked at me and cried. Then he spent 45 minutes putting himself together. Meanwhile, I'm thinking, he is taking longer than I do to get ready. But what I was forgetting was that he too cares about self-respect and dignity. He has preferences too, just like we do. Sahil's favorite color is sky blue. He doesn't like turkey. He's allergic to wool. He loves classical music, and Maya Angelou is his favorite poet. All things that we have learned as he graciously accepts or denies our donations over the years. So we get to the dinner, and Sahil is the best dressed man in the house. He sees Will, my husband, who winks at him and jokes, nice tie. Now this is where it gets real for me. We are not seated at the same table. I panic. How can I explain? And as Sahil sits down, he places his hands to his heart. He closes his eyes and says a grace for the food in front of him. At that moment, I am struck, noticing the three other 100 people in the room busily checking their cell phones, talking, but maybe not really even listening to the person next to them, and thinking about all the things on their to-do list. For as John Lennon said, the day before he died, life happens as we are busy making plans. And suddenly, the entire room becomes silent in my mind, and I place my own hands to my heart. I close my own eyes and say a grace as well. One I will surely never forget. For Sahil has just taught me another lesson in gratitude. I look over again and he gives me a thumbs up and mouths beef tenderloin. Holy cow. I smiled and agreed. That night, Sahil met someone who helped him get a job at Dunkin' Donuts, and now years later is a barista at Starbucks and rents his own bedroom. I texted him and I asked him his words of advice for your graduating class. He replied, what you think of yourself is more important than what the entire world may label you as. Over the years, our family has had many of these life-changing moments. After the tsunami in Indonesia, we were compelled to somehow help this community miles away. Our children and their friends decided to make and sell necklaces that we named Tamboon, which means to give in Thai. We sold them for $10 each. A local company offered us $25,000 if we could raise the same, and we did. We donated the money to the Save the Children Fund. MTV heard the story, and before we knew it, we were on our way to New York City to be interviewed. Sometimes service has fun, quirky twists, and I brought a Tamboon necklace for each member of the graduating class today. We've been part of the relief efforts in New Orleans and Haiti, where again we've been told that children were just too young. We helped start an organization called Ripples of Hope, just for families. We've built schools, hung mosquito nets and dung bomas in Tanzania to protect people from malaria, painted murals with Usher, planted gardens and more. We lived with the Maasai tribe and built tin shanties in South Africa. And yes, all this progress is great, but I will tell you what has been greater. Doing service side by side with the people of these communities, playing soccer and jumping rope with orphans, teaching African girls and boys yoga and having them start their own yoga club, and Facebooking our new friends when we get home. So I tell you about these journeys so you can understand the power of service. But now I will share with you the lessons that I have learned from the people that I've served. Things that I wished, truly, that I had known before I went off to high school. Albert Schweitzer said, "I don't know what your destiny will be, but one thing I know. The only ones among you who will be really happy are those of you who have sought and found how to serve." Remember, you don't have to go thousands of miles to serve. It can be as simple as holding the door for your brother or sister, clearing someone else's plate after dinner, asking your parents how their day was, or really thanking the person for delivering your pizza. Look in their eyes. Character is what you do when no one is watching. One of my teachers, Dr. Wayne Dyer, claims that when you are in service, you let go of the importance of your possessions, your appearance, and your reputation. Good stuff. Your mistakes and your discomforts are your greatest teachers. This is when we truly learn the most about ourselves and grow. For it is not how many times that you fall, it is what you do when you get back up. I love this one. It is not your business what other people think of you. Rid yourself of the opinions of others and yourself. Don't judge someone until you've walked in their shoes. Don't assume anything, and don't take things personally. Don't gossip. Remember, he who gossips to you will gossip of you. Stretch, relax, and try a yoga class in the next 4 years. My entire life, people have been telling you to hurry up and get things done. Henry David Thoreau will tell you, slow down and breathe. Life is too short to be in a hurry. Tell the truth. Do the right thing. If something feels wrong, it usually is. Refuse plastic. Live simply. Less is more. Notice water. Conserve it, honor it, jump in it, listen to it. Be kind to animals in your natural surroundings. We can learn a lot from our four-legged friends and our wise old trees. We need to become what we wish for ourselves. At the end of the day, try to spend the last 5 minutes before you go to sleep saying what you'd like to be. If you had a fight with your best friend, you may say, "I am forgiving." If you're nervous about a test, I am calm and confident. If you're feeling sick, I'm strong and healthy. You will attract these thoughts as you marinated them overnight. Wayne Dyer also believes that the more you try to seek approval from your friends, the more they will disapprove, because no one wants to be around someone who's begging for approval. People who receive the most approval are the ones who really don't care about it. If you love yourself, you will attract into your life what you feel inside. Be grateful. The most popular course at Harvard is called Positive Psychology, taught by Dr. Ben Shahar. He teaches, happy people are always grateful, but grateful people are always happy. He suggests writing down 3 things that you're grateful for each morning and each night, and watch what happens in just a month. My family has journals next to their beds, and we practice this exercise. Some of ours are, I'm grateful for my time, I'm grateful for my books, I'm grateful for my music, I'm grateful for my feet, I'm grateful for my bed. I encourage you to try it. Reverend Peter Gomes, also a Harvard professor, teaches, do not ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive. Because what the world needs is people who come alive. Say yes before you say no. My most recent example of this makes me smile. I've always wanted to live on a farm. However, I do not. This year I started dreaming of farm stands because each time I drive past one, I just feel right. I feel peaceful. I started talking to people in our town and they said I'd lost my mind. People don't have farm stands in Wells, New York. So the more no's I got, the more chickens I ordered. We started planting cucumbers, celery, tomatoes, squash, peppers, watermelon, lettuce, and more. We applied for a town permit for our chickens, and someone helped us build a stand. We opened for business last weekend. Our youngest children manned the booths selling homemade cookies, lemonades, and veggies. I looked out the window and couldn't believe my eyes. We had cars lined up and down the street, asking what days and what hours would we be open? When would the tomatoes be ready? Things were selling so quickly that we didn't even have time to price everything. And my youngest daughter, Annie, was selling broccoli florets for $5. In 1 hour, we were sold out. So, say yes before you say no. Be silly and laugh a lot. Be curious and don't be afraid to ask for help. Look at education as a privilege, not a duty. Work should not be acquainted with pain and suffering. Our African friends pray for an opportunity to go to school. They walk 5 miles, and they wait in line for 3 days to register. And they spend their entire lifetime dreaming about any kind of job. Here, we are lucky to have choices. As I wind down our time together, I want you to breathe in all the goodness of your time here at 104 New Amsterdam. Remember the kitchen crew that cooked those French toast sticks just right. The maintenance crew that prepared your fields for the big game after the storm. The cleaning crew who swept the halls. The people in the front office that made sure your buses were here for field trips. And of course your teachers, who stayed up late, correcting your papers, and stayed after class to pat you on the back after a tough test. Your parents, who made sure there was dinner on the table, or that you weren't late for your soccer game. And your friends, sitting next to you, with whom you have laughed with until your belly aches. So I will end with a Zulu proverb, an African greeting, Ubuntu, meaning I am because of you. I take this saying very seriously. Throughout your life, you will be because of everyone that you have met, even Naya and Salva. Their stories have become part of who you are and will shape the adults that you will become. And now I am because of the 27 of you. I am grateful because you are already the change I wish to see in the world. Thank you.